Because attitudes are an important predictor of how people will behave, there are times when we will want to change someone's attitude so they will behave in the way we want. Maybe we want our child to clean up their room. Maybe we want a friend to join us on a trip to Disney. Maybe we want our students to study hard and participate in class discussions. In all those situations, and many others, we will often try to change someone's attitude via a message of some kind, either verbal or written. Persuasion is the process by which a message induces change in feelings, attitudes, or behavior. The Yale attitude change approach identifies 3 ingredients of a persuasive appeal: the communicator, the message, and the audience, or who said it, what was said, and to whom was it said. I will talk about each ingredient in turn. 2 characteristics of the communicator help determine how persuasive their message is. First, are they credible? Are they an expert in the topic? Are they trustworthy? Can you believe what they are telling you? Or are they persuading you out of self-interest? How much do you like them? So a likable, trustworthy expert is the most persuasive communicator. Does this remind you of anyone? Second, is the person attractive? The more physically attractive a person is, the more persuaded you will be by them. Perhaps that isn't surprising, but there is a second point here as well. The more similar that person appears to yourself, the more you will be persuaded by them. So physical attractiveness is one way to become persuasive. The other is to be physically similar to the audience. If you ever go to buy a car, watch which salesperson is assigned to you. Many dealerships use a random or first-come, first-served system, but some match buyers to salespeople. The next ingredient is the message itself, or what was said. Does the message make people feel good about themselves? Does it give them positive feelings? That will make the message more persuasive. But so will fear. In fact, one of the most persuasive strategies is to scare people and then provide a plan. In fact, anything that makes your message memorable is important to persuasion. If they aren't paying attention, then you can't persuade them. One strategy to make your message memorable is to use discrepancy. This means your message should stand out, be surprising, or be different from what the audience expects. In general, you want your message to be involving for the audience. You want to answer the "so what" question, or "why is this important to them" question. Why should I care about equity? Well, you want to retire one day, and then you need to know what equity is. However, when it comes to the message, when it was said is also very important. The first time I heard back from a school about an assistant professor job, they provided me with a list of dates I could come and visit. I showed my PhD supervisor the dates, and she immediately told me that I needed to visit on the first date or the last date. Do you know why that was? Well, she has a PhD in social psychology, and she knows about the primacy and recency effects. Primacy is when information presented first has the most influence. Recency is when the information presented last has the most influence. There is no middle-C effect. So if you were ever in a debate, go first, because primacy tends to be the best. Now, let's talk about the third ingredient, the audience, or to whom the message is said. Do they have the ability and the motivation to counter-argue? Are they distracted, or do they have low involvement? If you want to persuade people based on the merits of your argument, then you need to make them pay attention. Some people tend to pay attention and think deeply about arguments as a general rule. Now, these people are high in an individual difference called need for cognition. They answer strongly agree to questions like, I usually end up deliberating about issues even when they do not affect me personally. These people will have the motivation to think about your message so long as they have the ability, i.e., they are not distracted. Some audiences are especially hard to persuade because they've had something called attitude inoculation. This is the process of making people immune to attempts to change their attitudes by initially exposing them to small doses of the arguments against that position. For example, maybe someone once told you that the theory of evolution meant believing people were related to monkeys. That is a very small dose of the argument in favor of the theory of evolution, and one that isn't quite correct. But whoever said that would have been able to make a powerful persuasive appeal against that small dose of the theory. Later, people who have been exposed to these small doses are more resistant to change, to accepting the theory of evolution. So if you ever want to make a persuasive appeal, remember, think about the messenger, think about the message, and think about the message recipient.